going. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's talk about the New York Knicks, man. What's good, Knicks Nation? We are back with another KFTV post-game live. And look, the New York Knicks took on the Washington Wizards today, okay? We didn't get any of the starters. We're trying to get a little rehearsal for the second and third unit to see, hey, who's going to make the team? So, Brogdon, you got to show out tonight, man. 4 fouls within 3 quarters. Not doing a great job, but hey, the rest of the second unit and third unit didn't really put up much of a fight until the end, where we got Tyler Kolek saying, guess what? I've been hearing all the chatter. Got to put up some points for you guys to show that I ain't weak out here. But hey, through 4 quarters, we didn't really see much from the New York Knicks tonight. They got waxed by the Washington Wizards. They had their starters out there. And look, this thing was over really in the first quarter. There was not much to take away from the Knicks tonight, but we're still going to talk about it, man. Knicks would end up losing this one 120-103. With me on the other side is my guy Jeff Johnson. So we're going to get into all the narratives, break down the game, talk about the season that's up and coming. October 22nd is right around the corner, so make sure to stay locked in. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And let's get into this. And hey, we're only taking calls by Discord. You sure already know this by now. So make sure to tap in. We want to hear your takes as well, okay? Jeff, my man, long time no talk. How you feeling, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm good, man. I'm good. RIP Blog Talk Radio. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no more call-in number. It's Discord only. I'm good, man. Right. I'm cooling. Happy that basketball is back. NBA basketball is back. And we're ready to run and get ready for another season, man. Another season. Promising season. Most promising season probably in 20, 30 years. So I'm looking forward to it. I love the anticipation. I love the way the city feels when the Knicks are playing. So I love being on the show, man. So yeah, this is, it's usually hit or miss with the games me and you do. And this one was the opposite of a hit, but there are things to talk about overall with the Knicks. So we got enough to quench the thirst of the fans.
That's right, man. We got enough to quench the thirst of the fans, as you said. So let's talk about this game first and foremost. Now, like I said, this game was just lackluster, all right? There's not really much to take away unless you really want to dive deep into players like Kolek, McCullough, Diawara, guys who are not really going to play much, if at all, this season because, look, we got our starting 5, 6, if you want to include Josh Hart in that mix. They even play Landry. They did not even play Landry Shamet tonight because they were like, hey, you played last year. We know what you can do. We saw you do some good things in the postseason. We would like you back here. So this is really just to get the new guys involved. Deuce McBride, part of that second unit. Are you disappointed? Let me just go out this way. Were you disappointed with the effort of the second unit tonight? Because, look, man, they're supposed to be, I saw it on social. Some are saying, hey, we're this like top-heavy team, man. And by top-heavy, I mean favorites to win the NBA, to make it to the NBA Finals, right? Potentially even win it. And there's the expectation that the second unit should go out there against a lowly team like the Washington Wizards, even with the second unit, and compete. And we didn't really get a great outing from Clarkson, McBride. Yabusele shot well. Defensively at the 5, there's some questions there. But were you disappointed in what you saw from that second string tonight?
No, I wasn't disappointed. When you put it like that and say because of the depth that they brought in this season and the caliber of players that were starting against these Wizards, you would expect them to go out there and smash them. If it was the regular season, I'd be disappointed that they let it get to a laugher early. It's preseason, dog. I'm not going to get too high. I'm not going to get too low. I don't really have too many agendas to push for preseason to make it interesting to go along with it, other than my slowly bubbling Diawara agenda. But past that, it wasn't really anything for me to look and indict the Knicks on. I'd say, yeah, you would hope that even at 50% effectiveness, they could smack that Wizards team. But then a lot of folks forget these are professionals too. And they got something to prove. And there's a lot of playing time going around for that Wizards squad. CJ McCollum, I forgot CJ McCollum was on the team for a second. He ain't even playing. So there are a lot of young players. Sarr, I believe, didn't play either. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of young players that are looking for run on that squad. So they're going to go out and you get to play in the Garden with no stakes. It was a recipe for a blowout tonight. So I'm not really disappointed. I wouldn't want the team to get smacked even in preseason, but I looked at this more as, hey, all you guys like Shamit and Huck Porty were hurt or illness. They were out with illness, right? So all you other guys, y'all trying to make the team, y'all trying to get picked up by Westchester, you trying to stay in the league by any means necessary. Here's your 48 minutes. Go out and make something happen. So I just look to see how the players will handle themselves more than anything. Trends, process, that type of stuff. I didn't really care about the result. I care about 16 in May and June, bro. I don't care about 1 in early October.
I feel you. And I'm with you on that aspect where at this point in the season, the biggest thing for me is how are they performing during the regular season? Are the principles that Coach Brown is trying to implement, are they fruitful in the course of this journey getting to the postseason, right? Mm-hmm. Because the whole thing and why Tibbs got access saying, yo, we want to update the offense. And I was right there. I agreed. I didn't think Tibbs could take this team much farther, even though they took him to the Eastern Conference Finals. But if you're bringing in a coach, you want to make sure that the principles that he's trying to implement are there and actually putting the team in that situation, right? To compete, to be back in the ECF, hopefully compete for an NBA title. So That's all I want to see throughout the regular season, man. I know the first 20 games, 25 games is going to be, hey, we're all trying to still figure things out, implement this new system. You know, we're still waiting to see when Mike Brown's going to call some plays to show what we're working with here. We're still wondering on that, Mike. All right, please show us something soon. But look, I get where it's going, so I'm with you on. There's not really much to take away. My whole thing, though, if there's anything, the slight criticism of tonight is that for the second unit, just more effort. That's all I'm asking for, and I feel like between this game and the last game, it's just kind of like going through the motions. And I get it. There's a bigger picture, but still like these reps are still important based on what is laid out for the Knicks. Celtics, Pacers taking a step back because of injuries, right? You're looking at the rest of the East. The Cavs are the only team that is in your way. I don't believe the Cavs can take that next step. They got their own issues going on that side, but I'm just looking for them to like take it seriously, try to implement the principles that Mike Brown is bringing forth for this team. And that's why I want to see effort and just some sort of like competency, not to go out there and win every single preseason game. That means nothing, man. I'm a Jets fan, all right? I've seen a team win all preseason games and lose damn near every single game during the regular season. So I already know what it's like. And it's going, we didn't even win every single preseason game this time, but the way it's going, man, I don't want to see that. But anyway, you know, I just want to see a little bit more effort. But I think the biggest thing outside of that is people talking about Yabusele at the 5. That's another biggest thing. So how do you feel about seeing, because that's the whole thing, right? They're saying, hey, you get this guy that you can play 5 out spacing with Cat, even have him and Mitch on the bench, have Yabu out there playing 5. You still keep that spacing. Offensively, I didn't think it was that bad because he was knocking down 3, so you could see it from there. Defensively, though, there's some questions.
Of course, there's some questions. I do not think he was brought here to play the 5 full time. Yeah, he had to play the 5 full time because Huck wasn't in there. Huck would have been the 5 tonight and would have been starting if he wasn't sick. And I know he must have been sick that he was sick tonight because he had the open run, he had the starter position. You know, these are the way things happen. So it is what it is. Hopefully, you know, heal up to him. Hopefully he's good to go for Friday. I think you did get a sense of seeing why Yabusele at the 5 full time is not a great recipe for success. Just because he doesn't have the tendencies, the defensive instincts, and he's not a 5. He's more of a power forward. So when you discuss his fit next to Cat is as the 4, him at the 4, Cat at the 5. Or if he's with Mitch at the 5, Yabu at the 4. You might be able to ski mask a minute or two here or there if you need to buy time for something else or give people a breather. But I don't look at this as an alarm. I look at it more of a proof of concept that, hey, this isn't going to be a method that's going to be the most impactful for this team. Now, if Yabusele is playing the 5 full time, that means something catastrophic happened. So I hope I never see it. Not full time and not at super extended time in games that matter, that truly matter. I prefer him at the 4. So I understand where people are like, oh, he can't play the 5, whatever. I don't think he was brought in to be a 5. So I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I think there's that slight overlap that they'll use him at the 5. I agree with you that it's mostly at the 4 they're going to see him. And mostly he was brought in here to help, in my opinion, relieve Josh from having to play that power forward. And also just have another bigger body, right? Like a guy who can pass, who can drive, shoot, just more diversity, what we have on our bench. So I do think we're going to see him at the 5, though. I do think we're going to see some small ball 5 just because I guess my question is how much are they actually going to use Huck, right? Because then are we going on 11?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but do you think it's going to be extensive time at the 5?
No, I don't think it'll be you talk
a
about
spot minute here or there to give Cat and Mitch both a rest.
Yeah, I see that.
If the ultimate final form of this team comes to fruition, then Yabusele at the 5 means that they're going straight track meet on whoever they're playing. Second units is mostly going to be second units, I think, and backup players that they're going against. It's probably going to be a situation where the Knicks are up by double digits and they're going to be trading baskets at worst. So that's what I'm thinking about with him at the 5. That's why I'm not saying that we're not going to see it at all. I don't think we're going to see it as extensive as people think that would cause an issue, if that makes sense.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm not going to go any more further into that, man. But I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? If you're saying I do not want to see him at the 5, well, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you. You probably are. If you're saying I don't want to rely on him at the 5, I got some good news for you. You probably won't have to. Let's hope we won't have to. Because if the Knicks have to rely on him at the 5, then once again, that means something catastrophic happened.
This is true. This is all true. I think we're going to be a little bit more surprised. My thing is with Mike Brown, I feel like we're going to be a little bit more surprised in what he's going to want to do with Yabu. But we'll see,
Yabusele is nightmare fuel, bro. Huck and Yabusele, it's so much good and so much bad that could happen, but it's like a haunted house ride. You're going to be shook. You're going to be startled, but you might come out of it and say, I had a good time.
You're going to have a good time. Well, let's talk about some real things, Jeff. Let's talk about some real things before we start getting to the Discord and start taking some callers. All right. Who's staying on this team, man? Because let's be real. I know that we took a little break. The team took a little break from the starters, but we got Landry Shamet, Malcolm Brogdon. These guys aren't on guaranteed contracts. If you want to think that Shamet was out with an illness, sure. I feel like they were just trying to get other guys involved too. This is preseason after all. Guy was on the team last year. They brought him in because they liked what he did last season. I expect Shamet to be back in some way. Was this just a showcasing of the young guys like Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek to see, hey, are you guys interested? You want to take these two guys off our books so that way we can get Malcolm Brogdon on this team too? Or is Brogdon gone and then we're just keeping the young guys I just mentioned?
Yeah, I think when teams tell you, my phone is always open. My phone is my line is open. I pay my bill every month. You want to call me up and we want to talk. I'm always open to having a conversation. I'm not saying it's going to go the way you think it's going to go. I'm not saying we're going to have a deal, but I can speculate with you. We can spitball around, throw around trade ideas. We'll fire up the old trade machine and let's see if we come up with something that both of our teams like. I think showing these guys and playing anytime you play young players extensive minutes in the preseason, it's a dual case of looking to see who can play significant minutes on your team, looking to see who may be a good fit for your G League affiliate, and looking to see if there are some guys that you might want to keep around to deal later on. So I think it was interesting that this was Dadier's best game by far in the preseason. He looked confident for the first time all preseason. That's the one thing I've been criticizing about his game, is that he's the one young guy that it looks tentative. Like the moment is too big, but it looked like he was ready to start tonight. Hit his first 2 threes. I think he finished with 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting. So he was ready for the moment. And I think we're getting to that point now where these guys aren't robots. They hear the chatter. You know, hey, there's a good chance when you start doing the math and you look at this second apron world that we're living in, and you start having a better understanding of where the pecking order falls and what could possibly happen. Yo, at this point, you playing for a job. You playing for a spot in the league. You're playing to show teams, hey, if this team don't want to take advantage of my skills, you have the opportunity. So I think by the time the season starts, Brogdon and Shamet are going to be on this team. I don't know what that means for the rest of the young guys. Can they, and I haven't looked at the cap or anything yet. I know if they keep Shamet and Brogdon, they're going to have to move. More than likely, they're going to have to move Pacom Dadier just because of the way the salaries work. To be able to give them enough space under the second apron and also afford them the opportunity to enter the buyout market after the trade deadline. So I have a funny feeling, man. I have a funny feeling that they're going to keep both of those guys. That if you ask me, like, put money on it, who they're going to keep, I'd say they're going to keep Brogdon. They're going to keep Shamet. Maybe they keep Dadier also until the trade deadline to see if they can shake something out and make some moves to clear up money for a vet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Because I don't know how it works. Like, if you keep Dadier, is the salary that you pay him up until that point, does it count against the cap? So that would limit the amount even further you could give a buyout candidate. I'm not sure how that works. Like, if they would have to trade him now, or could they hold him later on? But I think they're going for it, dog. And I can't blame them. If this is the most vulnerable the East is going to be, barring unforeseen injuries. This is the most vulnerable they're going to be probably this decade. The most vulnerable. So if you're going to go for a shot at the finals, you better do everything you can. And I think having a veteran team is one of the surest paths forward.
For sure. And I agree with you. I believe that Shamet and Brogdon are going to be here because, to your point, veteran readiness is just something that you need for this team. And look, I know the Kolek Hive is still alive, and I see some of you in the chat, and I saw, even when I popped in on Discord to get ready for the show, I saw people talking about Kolek in a positive light. He did play well tonight. I'm not gonna knock him. All right, over in about 23 minutes, man was 7 to 13 from the field, got you 20 points, 6 assists, 4 boards. So he was doing the damn thing and hit all 5 of his free throws. Tonight was the best that we've seen from Kolek since, I guess, last season, because Summer League was rough. Beginning of some of the games during preseason this year were rough. But if you want to buy a little bit more, be like, hey, he's showing something now. Do you want to buy in? I don't know, man. I still think that you got to open it up for what you're talking about, which is bringing in the most veteran-ready team. And even though Brogdon wasn't great tonight, let's also remember that he hasn't played serious basketball since he was on the Celtics. So we're talking about 2 seasons, man. Being out in Portland and then in Washington, where you're like, all right, man, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm out here just like chilling, not playing basketball, trying to stay healthy just so I can keep my career going. I think that if you give him a little bit more time, he'll get ready. I'm not saying he's going to be the Brogdon that we saw when he was out in Milwaukee or Indiana, but
Mhm.
for the spot minutes you may give him because you need another playmaker when either Brunson's taking a rest of some night or you need to have somebody rein in Jordan Clarkson. I think that he can at least do that. And even with tonight, you see a little bit, not flashing, but the way he can just drop, pocket passes when someone's just cutting the lane, trying to just finish for a layup. Like you're gonna need guys who can read the court like that and do that. Not saying Kolek can't, but there's just a difference in just the veteran savviness and the confidence that he displays continuously, even when he's not hitting shots. That we just
Mhm.
don't get that from Kolek on a night to night basis. And you can't in a season like this, you can't have guys who aren't confident, who aren't ready and willing to take on challenges like that. So I think Kolek and maybe even Dadier are moved. Although, I know how important wings are in this league. And so I'm not sure if they really want to move Dadier, but Dadier, even tonight, like, I saw your tweet, came out aggressive, started, but, went to the wayside.
It was going to
Like
be more
you got to
aggressive.
show something, man. You got to show something. That's the only thing, though. Like this is a show me league. If you want to get some time, you want to stay on a roster. That's the only difficulty for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, Kolek ain't do nothing different than I've seen before. We know who Kolek is, and he showed it. Like if he was starting, maybe they don't get blown out tonight because he's getting after it. There's no off switch for him. He got to get after it. So I think Kolek proved that he's a rotation player in this league, that he's somebody who can run an offense, who's somebody who can score. Still got a lot of stuff to work on the defensive end, but I do think he can be somebody who, at the very least, whether it's the Knicks or another team, he's somebody who can be a contributor to any NBA franchise. So I think that makes him even more attractive on the trade market as well. But and it's tough because you don't want to give up on young prospects, but at the same time, we're not in the era of Knicks basketball where the young prospects are the sole lifeline we have to the season.
Right.
There's legit title expectations, real all NBA caliber players, all-star caliber players, six man of the year caliber players on this squad. There's bigger fish to fry. So I get it with the whole young prospects thing. Also remember, they got Kevin McCullough. They got Ariel Hukporti. They got Diawara. Like guys that are showing real upside type promise going forward. So it isn't as if the cupboard would be bare. You're just trading. You'd be potentially trading a what if for what you know.
Right.
And I don't know how you feel about the Brogdon injury history, because that's something that me and my guy Sean with a W were talking about the other day on after school, where he's weary about the injury history. And my point on that is they're not going to be asking Brogdon to play 20 minutes a night like he was in Boston when he won the six man of the year award. Disputedly won the six man of the year award over Emmanuel Quickly, right? But we won't go down
the real winner of that year.
Right. Like, I didn't know that availability to start was a disqualifier from the six man of the year category.
Anything to hate on the Knicks, bro. Anything to hate on the Knicks.
I digress. But they're not going to be asking him to play heavy minutes. He's going to play 5 to 10 minutes a night, maybe 10 at max, right? Depending on the situation. You have a medical staff that has been voted the best medical staff in the NBA, who used to work with Dallas, who OG looked the healthiest he looked in years last season. Mitch came all the way back with a vengeance after his injury. So if you are banking on the Knicks medical staff being able to get the most out of Brogdon, then I think it's a safer bet than people realize.
Yeah, that's a great point about the medical staff for Brogdon. And I would say the other thing, too, is that he's not going to be playing every single night. I would even count on him playing every single night. Like, for him, he's a break glass in case of emergency. We do not have Jalen Brunson or anybody else. Or it's a night where you're like, you know what? We are playing a team like the Hornets. We are playing a team that's just in the basement. All right. We are playing the Utah Jazz.
Right.
Okay. Why do we need to go out there, depending on the part of the season, and extend our guys playing more minutes when they got to be getting rested and ready for the postseason? Yo, you know what, Malcolm? Get off the bench. Let's go use you right now tonight. Then you're going to be seeing a lot more minutes out of him. And if you space that out throughout the entire course of a season, you probably will even see, hey, this guy averaged like 15, 20 minutes. And then the total amount of games that you do see is like 20, 30,
Right.
maybe even that, right? That he plays. So I'm not worried about Brogdon. He's a guy that you bring in here because, as we saw last season, we didn't have anybody to go to outside of Jalen Brunson to create. And we do have Jordan Clarkson, a guy who can create his own shot. However, and we even see it tonight, he's not going to be the guy that always sets somebody up.
It's going up. He told you.
Yo, man.
It's going
the
up.
Ultimate green light. The ultimate green light. Okay. So I'm not expecting him to, and like, there's, look, that leads me to a whole other question, but I'll bring that up in a second. All right.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, look, for Brogdon, man, I wouldn't stress too much about it. All right. He's probably going to be part of this team. It's for the mind. It's for the savviness that you're bringing him on. He has the experience, the playoff experience outside of the guys like Pacome and Kolek, man. But salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning for another KFTV post game live. With me on the other side is my guy Jeff Johnson. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like I said, we are taking calls from the Discord tonight. So make sure to tap in if you want to get some of your takes off. We are waiting for you. And while we wait for people to come and call in for the show, all right, we're going to talk about some other topics. All right. And one, shout out to my guy, Jeffrey Campbell, the other Jeff, you know, the guys who you all get angry about. And I understand, man. The man said a few seasons ago that Trae Young was better than Jalen Brunson. I don't know. He made amends, but I still can't believe those words even came out of your mouth, man. Come on.
Boy,
now.
KFTV Nation was on my ass, and I was like, bro, I didn't say that.
Jeff.
I was like, I didn't say that. What are y'all talking about? Then when I figured out, I was like, oh, man, that's crazy.
Jeff with a G. That
yes, sir.
We got Sean with a W. We got Jeff with a G. That's really what we got to start doing around here, man.
The
Just
King's Landing spelling of Jeff, by the way.
But anyway, shout out to our guy Jeffrey Campbell. You know, he wrote a great article for the newsletter. If you haven't already signed up to that, make sure to sign up for the KFTV newsletter so that way you stay tapped into what's happening, not only with KFTV but for the Knicks as well. And you also get some great articles, and you get to stay tapped into our sponsors as well. So he wrote an article talking about the three big things that he's three big questions facing the 25-26 season for the New York Knicks. And one of them was about Josh Hart. And I thought this was a very intriguing section that he wrote because the way that he framed it, it's like, yes, and this is where he's going. It's like, how will Josh Hart handle getting a demotion, essentially? Man had a career year last year, being a starter, right? And even though he's saying that he'll do whatever it takes to help win and be a team first guy, we know, man, there's athletes got to wrestle. Even though he is, I'm sure he means it totally, right? There's an ego for every athlete, man. There's an ego for every athlete. How do you keep that in check, right? And watching your team, like if everything's all gravy, everyone's winning, it's easy to swallow that pill and take that with pride. But if there's a little bit of struggle, man, and you start to say, hey, last year we did this and I was a starter, right? Does that come into play? And so the question that he essentially is asking is, will Josh be acceptable to taking that lesser role and knowing that he may have a shorter leash with Mike Brown? And if he doesn't take that, is this a guy that could be a trade candidate this season? That's what Jeff said. Not me. This is what Jeff is saying. There you go, right here. See, this is the article right here. Daniel, shout out to producer Daniel, is posting it right here. These are the things that Jeff's asking. So I'm throwing it to you, Jeff, the other Jeff, and Knicks Nation. What do you all think?
Okay. I take Josh Hart at his word. He said he's down to do whatever it takes. And this has been his line since he's been a Knick. This is a guy who told us he wanted a home. He wanted an NBA home. And I think he's found that with the Knicks. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that Josh Hart is synonymous with the New York Knicks for his career based on everything. He got to the playoffs as a Knick, triple doubles as a Knick, set triple double records, had become literally the heart and soul. I think it's human nature to feel like I should be a starter. I earned that. This is a demotion. I know I have the capability to be a starter. So it's on Mike Brown to be able to manage that relationship and the egos on the team. That's part of the reason why he's getting paid the big bucks. He got the bag to be a relationship manager along with a head coach. So I think he's more personable than Tibbs. He's the type of guy that cares about the players' feelings more than Tibbs really did. So I think Mike Brown can negotiate that well. As far as Josh Hart, I would be shocked if Josh let it get to a point where we're talking he might have to go to restore the vibes in the locker room. Josh Hart, of all people, would disrupt his NBA home because he's not going to be with that starting five. If he's as accountable as he purports to be, then I would say, hey, Josh, there's times where you got to look in the mirror also. The minute they made that switch, the minute the league caught on to the Cat JB pick and roll, and they started putting their centers on you, and they started leaving you wide open for threes, and you weren't taking the threes like that, and you weren't stretching the court, it became susceptible. They became susceptible to more suffocating defenses. It also was on the coach for not switching it up, so I can't really blame him for playing the minutes that he was given. But I don't think that that's going to be a detriment to the team. I think he's going to be a focal point of this squad just like he has before. It just may not come in the first 5-6 minutes of the game, and that's all right because he'll more than likely be in certain closing lineups. He'll still make the impact he can make. And for a guy who'll be like, I ain't trying to play all these damn minutes, 56, 66 minutes. Like, I need a break. Y'all trying to play me at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positions we never even heard of yet on the court. This should be a welcome sight and a welcome opportunity to concentrate his impact on the court in a finite amount of time with different lineups. So, I don't think it's going to get to that level. I don't think he's going to get to that level at all. I think he's a pro. I think he loves New York. I think he has respect for his squad. If there is issues, they'll handle it like men and like professionals and call it a day. I think it's more, at this point, it's more important for Josh Hart to win than it is these personal accolades. And I could be wrong, but this is just how I'm reading it and from what I'm hearing, from what I'm seeing.
You know, Josh, to me, is a guy that looks like he'll do anything to win and sacrifice his body, everything that we've seen since he's joined the Knicks, and accepted any role in any task that was given to him. I mean, I remember seeing a tweet. I'm sorry, I can't remember who tweeted at Josh asking what position he plays. Like, I don't know. When you all figure that out, let me know. And it's like, dude, that's like, it's so, that encompasses the entire effort and personality and the player that Josh is, because he does play 4 positions outside of center. Although sometimes you can be wondering, like, yo, the way you were grabbing the boards, man, you might be as tall as Mitchell Robinson. But
at this point, right?
Look, he is so important for what this team does defensively from a rebounding standpoint and a playmaking standpoint, and just being a guy that will do the gritty work, right? Now, I see people in the chat saying, hey, they're ready to trade him, can't shoot, all those things, ready to pack his bags. But look, the guy is important to what this team does. Now, I will say, when you have a deep squad, it does get a little It does get a little tough, man. And we saw that. We saw that when we got Dante DiVincenzo that season. It does get a little tough. Remember with Quickly, Dante, Grimes, like when you have a deep team and guys got to eat and everybody can't eat, guys got to be able to take a step back and be accepting of that. And that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And so I actually don't think it's just a Josh Hart thing. I think it's an entire team thing. Because if you're thinking that, hey, we're going to have a 9, even 10-man rotation, numbers that we were seeing, minutes that we were seeing last year, you may be happy to not get those minutes, but some players are rhythm players. Some players need to be on the court for an extended amount of time in order to figure out their rhythm. So, with that being said, I think this is more not a Josh Hart thing, but an entire team thing where everyone's going to have to accept a little bit of a smaller role and accept that if you're not having it that night, you may not get that chance. And this is, for me, where the difficulty comes for Mike Brown, because that's when the egos start to rise. Because when you're on a team and it's clear cut that you're a 6th, 7th, or 8th guy, you are essentially guaranteed 15 to 20 some odd minutes, right? You have a team that has the starting 5 that should be playing a bulk of the minutes, that is as talented as them, whether it's Mitch, where it's actually looking like Mitch that's going to be in that starting 5, right? Just based on, even though Josh has been injured, it looks like Mitch is going to be the starting center. He's going to be part of that starting 5. The next 9, might say next 6 to 9, 6 to 10. Like, yo, I remember when Obi was here and he was like the 9th, 10th guy. That man was getting 10, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, are you comfortable getting 10, 15 minutes and going out there and just being a guy who gives energy, spurt, some plays here or there, and you might be done for the rest of the night? That's it. So that's tough, man. That's tough. And if you're a guy like, and this is where I'll say is the biggest thing. This team is heavily reliant on their offense. All 5 guys, like, look, OG, when he joined here, he was looking for a bigger role outside of Toronto. He wanted to be a little bit more involved in the offense. Bridges wasn't too thrilled with what he was doing last season, right, under Tom Thibodeau. Wants a little bit more of an expanded role. We're seeing that, getting some chances to initiate the offense. We know that he has more offensive capability than we saw last season with the Knicks. Already know about Brunson and Cat. Hart's going to want to get his at times. Jordan Clarkson, that is essentially the mantra. Offense, right? Deuce McBride, we know about Deuce's defense, but that's a guy who's also improved his offensive game and has to get up shots too to keep his value around the league. And let's keep in mind that he's in the second year of that of his contract. He's got one more, so he's trying to prove to the league that he's much more valuable than just being this spot up jump shooter, and that he's got a little more to his bag. Yabu, another guy that could put the ball in the hoop. We saw that tonight. It's a lot of mouths to feed, man. I'm just saying it's a lot of mouths to feed, and if you're talking about statistics where it's a 100 possession game, you're not going to be shooting 100%. So, guys, that's where I say it's got to be comfortable. I think it's more than Josh Hart. It's going to be the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with you, man. It is a lot of mouths to feed, but I'd rather there be mouths to feed than only one mouth that's being fed and getting fat off of shots, because that's pretty much what we were dealing with last year. The bench did not have it offensively. It was a stopgap. We didn't have Mitch. Knicks didn't have Mitch for most of the time. These are good problems to have. That's my mild take. These are great problems to have, because if you have 8 or 9 guys that can legit put up 20 points a game on any given night, then you shouldn't be starving for points. Period. Those second units should be catching hell from whoever is on the court. If you're not facing the bulk of the starters, they should be catching hell. And I think that's where a lot of people are going to make their money. Like Jordan Clarkson, you brought him here to get buckets. Yabusele, I don't think he's going to be screaming for shots, but he gets it where he gets it. When you talked about the whole minutes aspect about, are you cool with playing X amount of minutes? That's a conversation for Yabusele, Clarkson, and Brogdon. That ain't a conversation for the top 7. That really
Hmm.
ain't a comment. Yeah, they may see minute reduction, but it isn't going to be to the point of you might be playing 15 minutes tonight. You know, if you got somebody like Deuce or Josh at times playing 15 minutes a night, that must be an excellent sign because that means you're smacking teams and they don't really got to exert as much energy. So, we'll see.
Hey, I like that. I like that. I like that answer, man. I like that answer. What do you people think? All right, let's get to the phones. Let's see what people think, man. We got STG Nick on the line. STG Nick, how you doing, man? How you feeling?
Doing well, doing well. Um, it's hard to really take a lot away from this game. Besides the fact that, like, I guess the bench unit, because that starting unit was pretty much, I guess you want to call it the bench unit minus most likely Josh Hart. Would have just
Hmm.
liked to see a little bit more coherency on the offensive side. And then same thing with the defensive side. I thought guys got beat backdoor and just like a lack of communication. And I'm not really sure like if they've like, started running the sets because it didn't really look like there was many sets being run. It was like a lot of read and react offense. And I get that's a big part of today's game. But would like to maybe by Friday see some sort of sets run to some extent. But I would have liked to also see a little bit more from Malcolm Brogdon. This is like probably the biggest run he'll get. I know he hasn't played, meaningful basketball in a while, but would have been nice to see him get going. But same thing with Deuce. But some of these guys had good looks. I just don't really think the shots were falling. I was in the building for the game. It was decent. Like shout out to everybody that was able to make it out there. The weather was terrible. But I think Friday should be good because I assume they're going to run the normal rotation for the most part on Friday, and then get ready for next Wednesday.
Yeah, probably. That should be the case. But STG Nick, question for you, man. I don't know if you listened to what Jeff and I were talking about with Josh Hart and like the acceptance of potentially limited minutes on the bench. Where do you stand on Josh Hart or the entire bench in general for this team? Because this is a deep squad.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's kind of, you touched on it, like at the beginning of the 23-24 season, like, it was tough early on when we had Dante Hart off the bench, Quick off the bench, Hartenstein off the bench. Like, that was definitely a very tough team. But like, it's like we've seen throughout Josh's whole entire tenure, he's really about putting winning first. I mean, we saw that last year. He was the guy mentioning leave the egos at the door. That was a pretty big quote from last year. And then we saw that in
Hmm.
the playoffs when Tibbs, put him on the bench. He had nothing bad to say. He played his heart out. Whatever role he's asked to do, I know he's going to go out there and give it 100%. And I think, right now with the finger injury as well, like his offense is going to be limited, but he's still going to go out there and do Josh Hart things. So not too worried about him. He'll accept whatever role he's given and he'll impact the game in, ways that he does all the time. And for me at least, like starting the game is like that's whatever, but it's really about like closing. Like I'd assume he's still gonna be out there closing game. It's really just dependent
Mm,
on game to game scenarios. So it's like just because Mitch starts doesn't mean Mitch is always gonna close. You know how he is at the free throw line. Like it's hard to just say that Mitch is just gonna close every game just because he starts. So I definitely think it's gonna be interchangeable for sure.
for sure. And you see, so because that was the biggest thing I think, and probably is the biggest thing that we've seen throughout all of Josh's tenure here as a New York Knicks is that some people couldn't stand that Tibbs always let them in to close games. You still think that he's going to close games for this team under Mike Brown?
Oh yeah, I think there's going to be times. It's not going to be every game, but I think there's going to be times when he does close games because it's the matchup dependent. I think like he was really good, in that Detroit series at closing games, the Philly series in 2024 in closing games. He hit the game winner in Game 6. I mean, he definitely shown he can do it for sure. So I'm not really too worried about it. And he's just been very versatile his whole time as a Nick as well. Because I remember he first comes over from the trade. They win 9 in a row. And then going into the playoffs, he was coming off the bench, but he closed that game 1 against Cleveland, hit the top of the key three. And then Grimes gets hurt in the Miami series and he starts. So he's always ready for whatever happens. So I'm not too worried about it.
Appreciate the call, Nick. Appreciate you tapping in. So you're going to be at the last preseason game, and I'm sure that you're going to be at opening night against the Cavs.
Yep. I'll be there. Friday, Charlotte, and then next week. Against Cleveland to start it out. And then I saw CP at the open practice on Saturday, so that was cool.
Nice. How'd open practice go before I let you go?
It was all right. I mean, they had guys come out for a Q&A session at center court, and then they played some fun little games. They did do a 3-point contest, and like we got to get a petition to go have OG in the real 3-point contest. He went out there with slides and went 18 for 25, where the other two was Kolek and Deuce McBride. They weren't that good, but they basically had Brunson go out there and pick guys to shoot, and I thought OG did a good job. And then after that, they just had a celebrity alumni game. J.R. Smith did win MVP. I mean, if Jordan Clarkson, goes a little cold, I think we got someone else to, take his minute. But yeah, that's
Hey.
yeah.
Hey, I saw that. I saw that whole joke running through social media too. But appreciate you tapping in, Nick. Appreciate you as always, my man.
Of course, I'll see you guys.
Gotcha. All right. Hey, man, I saw that. I don't know if you saw that, Jeff, where people were like, "Yo, J.R. Smith won MVP during the celebrity game, so Jordan Clarkson, you might be on thin ice, man. We might be bringing Earl back out of retirement for this one."
Earl and Jordan Clarkson on the same team.
Woo. Oh.
You want to talk about testing some people in the fan base patience? I'm a fan of pure hoops, so I love the J.R. Smith experience for what it was. I'm on record saying, leave your TI-83s and your abacuses at the door. I don't want to hear none of that regression model, true shooting percentage, Darko, LeBron, EPM. I don't want to hear none of that, bro. We brought Clarkson to New York to get buckets, and a bucket he will collect. Most points off the bench since 2019-2020 season. You didn't come here to see the beautiful game. You came here to see buckets, bro. And buckets are beautiful. So, and I know there's going to be games where I already told CP, we don't need that Hall of Fame. Get a wing ready. Get a wing ready because Jordan Clarkson has arrived. But at the same time, and keep it real, Alex, I got love for him. But who would you rather see go YOLO on a consistent basis, Clarkson or Campaign?
Oh, dude, it's Clarkson, no doubt. When we were having, it was CP, George from Into the Knicks verse, and myself, and I just got off my 9 to 5, so I didn't hear all the news of like, hey, Westbrook and Clarkson being bought out. I thought it was guys that we had to actually like go out and trade for and stuff. As soon as they told me, hey, it's these two, I was like, oh, Jordan Clarkson instantly. And that it's just different, man. Look, Westbrook, I understand the dog that is in Westbrook, but you see the difficulty that he's having right now, just trying to go find a team because you can't shoot, man. In today's league, you need somebody that can shoot a jumper. And Clarkson, for as erratic as he can be, to your point, Jeff, leads the league in scoring off the bench. I mean, give this guy a good team to work on. And like the Knicks, and I expect him to have a good turnaround, man, to being that guy that you need. And look, your 6-man kind of needs to be a little cocky like that, man. You need that irrational confidence. You need somebody with the wiggle that he has because, look, even when he's midair, his jump shot, that man is like a contortionist. This man will be throwing passes out of nowhere, and you're like, how did he do that? Like some of the passes they found for Mitch against, who was it that they were playing?
Abu Dhabi?
In Abu Dhabi, but yeah, sure, against the Sixers, but even against Minnesota, there's some passes, but there are even some passes. I'm like, yo, this is why you bring him in here, man. And like, you need somebody like that. So, look, of course, he's going to absolutely get on our nerves, man. But I am all for it because guess what? He's the type of guy that when he's rolling, he's gonna make the other team just so frustrated because you're not gonna have an answer for him. He's one of those guys that he's gonna get rolling, and you're not gonna have an answer to stop him because his movement is just so unpredictable that it's like, all right, if he's hitting everything, you throw your hands up, be like, all right, man, we got to figure something else out. We got to stop somebody else because it's not going to be him. So I'm all for it, man.
Sidebar, I tuned into OKC, Indiana preseason, and who do I see running around running point for them? For the Pacers, Campaign, on an Exhibit 10 contract, playing for the Pacers. He is an op for hire, bro. He goes to other people's ops and he will and play for the year. Like Philly to New York to Indiana is nasty work, bro. From a rivalry point of view, it's like, yo, bro, you are a hired gun. You might as well just be a triple. You're a triple agent right now. You're a triple agent, but I hope he does get picked up, man. Because Campaign, that we may not be talking about a promising season if he doesn't save them from the fire in game 1 against the Pistons. So I always got love for campaign. I hope he do. I do hope he does find a team.
I was about to say, can you imagine if he doesn't get with the Pacers and he goes to the Pistons? Then it truly is the team that
Oh God.
that he was knocked was knocked out. He just joins. You know what I mean? So like, hey man, it is what it is, though, man. It is what it is.
I know. I hope he gets to stay in the league. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Hope so, man. Look, I like his story and like how he came back after playing internationally and then getting back into the NBA, man.
Oh
so
yeah.
It's not look, man, it was a frustrating experience for him and for us as a fan base to watch him. But hey, I wish you nothing but good luck, man. Just not against us on the Pacers. Not against us, but good luck to you.
I hope Brody gets back in the league too, because this is mellow coded. This is mellow coded right now when he did his year and a half because some nerds decided that he couldn't play in the league. This is super mellow coded right now, and I hope Brody gets to get back in and leave on his terms for real.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Let's get to another call, man. Let's get to another caller that we got waiting here. We got Yuri on the line. Yuri, what's happening, my man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, bro. I'm feeling good. Shout out to everyone in the chat. And I'm going to go into it. I'm not really killing myself over this game right now, to tell you the truth. Preseason, bench was out. Starters was out and getting rest. Area was sick. Mitch was sick. And I think we know who's going to be in and who's going to be out. If Samit was out today with the illness, I think he's definitely got the spot locked up. I would be very surprised if they cut him. But yeah, no, overall, I'm going to say one thing. I've been an advocate for inducing a starting lineup for a very long time. And seeing what I saw today, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Deuce can stay on the bench for all I care right now. Until he gets that ball handling average up to 99.
Sheesh.
Well, but yeah, no, it was very inconsistent, though. And Mike Brown did say they're still reading, reacting. I do expect them to have some play sets, though, installed before the regular season starts, though, as time goes on.
I hope that he is just, doing, I hope it's all in practice right now because he hasn't shown. I hope this is more of Jeff, you're a Jets fan, right?
I'm a Giants fan.
Oh, God. Never mind.
God, here we go.
Yeah, listen, hey, man. It once was dark, but I've seen the light. And the light is bright white. Oh, man. My guy, Scatterbull's here for a good time, not a long time. That man is CTE with a helmet walking.
Do you remember Tony Sperano?
Yes. Yes.
So you remember? So when he was on the Jets, he talked about keeping it vanilla during all preseason, so that way no one knew what was going to happen. I hope that this is going anywhere like that, man. I hope you're not trying to keep it vanilla. And
that's a pull.
Please.
That's a pull. Wow. That is a
don't do that.
That is a pull. But no, I'm not really worried about this preseason game. Like I said, it's preseason. Wizards can beat us in the preseason. I don't care. Smack them around in the regular season. That's all I care about. But I will say, though, they got a good young squad. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on them, when the regular season starts, because I think they could be a good play-in team. I don't think they're going to be tanking this year. I think they got a young, athletic team. I know they're going to get bounced around a lot in the regular season. But I definitely expect them to be in a player team. So that way we can have that first-round pick to ourselves if it gets converted for next year. For sure. But yeah, no, the game-wise, if there's a lot of takeaways from it, Yabu's not a 5. That's one thing that's clear. And I saw Mike Brown pull Yabusele to the side and tell him what he wants to do and stuff like that, etc. Which I like. You always want to see a coach talking to the players, trying to guide them on what he wants to do, etc. So seeing stuff like that, trying to keep the morale up. But at the same time, though, I did see his press conference. He called out the players for not bringing enough energy and stuff like that. So he is holding the players to a higher standard. What if you're a starter? What if you're a bench player, utility player? Don't matter. He will hold you accountable. So that's a bright side to see, at least.
He's taking a preseason
a lot more seriously. Yeah, I never saw that from Tibbs.
I mean, Tibbs was always about protecting his guys, but this is something that I spoke about with James Ham, who covers the the Sacramento Kings has been doing it for about 15 years. So he talked about how Mike Brown is going to call out his players in a tasteful manner where it's like, yo, I'm going to hold these guys accountable because look, sometimes you got to bring it to light because if you do what Tibbs did, then we may see guys have like not necessarily to the extent of like a Julius Randle where you're just like you kind of go off the deep end and like start slapping laptops out of people's hands.
Oh, I remember that. Holy
but you know
crap.
what I mean?
How
Like
long
you
ago was
you want to
that?
be able to hold these guys like accountable to their professional, like to a professional standard where they go out there and compete and they improve on what they got going on. But Yuri, before I let you go, man, what about the Josh Hart conversation that Jeff and I were having? Do you think he's going to be able to, adjust to his new role coming off the bench? Or do we have too much depth on this team that it may cause an issue like we saw when we had Dante, Quickly, and Grimes on the team?
No, I don't think it's going to be a huge of an issue. I've seen Josh Hart advocate to go himself on a bench last year when it came to Boston. Matter of fact, we actually learned that Josh Hart was supposed to be on a bench even before the Boston series. Remember, Josh Hart wanted to go back to the bench when Mitch was in the starting lineup. Tibbs never pulled the trigger on it until Josh Hart went to Tibbs personally. You got to keep that in mind as well. Josh Hart is a team player. He's a selfless player.
Mm.
He'll do any role, no matter if it's starting or coming off the bench. He's done both. Does he have an ego a little bit to himself? Absolutely. Because if you were a star last year and you had numbers like he did last season, you would have an ego too about coming off on a starter and telling yourself you're a starter, which I do believe Josh Hart is a starter, but he's more relegated to the bench role in my honest opinion. But the fact that he can do both, start and come off the bench, I think that's a double-edged sword you can carry. Because we've seen Hart as a starter, brings a lot of great things, up-tempo, fast pace, can shoot the three ball without the split on his finger. And on the downside, we've seen Josh Hart body collapse on him. And remember, his mind was not in it in a Pacers series, playing all those minutes, 48 minutes. His mind was there, but his body was not.
Mm.
On a bench, we get a lot better Josh Hart. He brings the bench tempo to a fast pace. He basically brings the bench to life. And I have no problem with Josh Hart sitting out, these last few preseason games because I don't want Hart to get injured even more than he is.
There you
And
have it.
that's my honest take on it.
There you have it. Appreciate the call, Yuri.
Of
And
course.
all right, man. Have a good one. And yo, Knicks Nation, let me know what you think about that call. 5 being facts, 1 being trash. Rate that call by Yuri, man. Rate that call and what you thought about his Josh Hart take. 5 being facts, 1 being trash. Let me know what you think. I thought that was a really good call by Yuri, man. I think that's a great point that, it's a double, hey, versatile guy. He could be a starter, be a guy that works off the bench, first team guy, team first guy, I mean. Look, man, I'm pro Josh Hart. I don't think he should be traded based on what and I'm not saying that Jeff was advocating for it, but the way that was written, it's like, will he be able to handle that? Will he be able to keep himself in check? I think he will, man. I think he'll do everything possible for this team. And look, if you want to say you're worried about his shooting, well, the guys that they brought in, they can shoot. So you don't have to rely on him as just, the only, like one of the shooters now. He can go work to his strength, being a guy that drives, kicks, rebounds, play makes, all those things. So look, that was the whole point about adding depth. It's not only about giving guys relief minutes wise, it's also complimenting them because they don't have the skill sets needed out there. It's like, hey, Brunson's not a great defender. Neither is Karl-Anthony Towns. That's why you got Mitch out there. That's why you got the wings out there now, right? That's why you go out and get some of these guys. That's why you get Gerson because he's a good defender. You got McBride on the bench. So the mixing and matching is what I'm curious as the season unfolds. And I hope Mike Brown is open to experimenting with different variations of lineups and not necessarily, and I'm not saying that he has to start off with, different lineups every game, but as it unfolds, like what Brad Stevens does or what, Eric Spoelstra does, use some different lineups, man, because you never know when that could be useful, especially in a postseason run. But I like that call by Yuri, man.
Sure.
And yo,
you know what's beautiful? You know what's beautiful, Alex, about what you said? You don't have to hope. You don't have to hope. Your faith will be rewarded because Mike Brown is playing different lineups. Those first 2 Abu Dhabi games was like a breath of fresh air. It was like an oxygen tank of fresh air needed after I just ran a 100-yard pick six. And you want me to go back out on special teams? No, my lungs are collapsing. Send me the oxygen right now. That's how it felt, bro. That's how it felt. Because you would have thought it was a capital crime to play 3 guards or 2 shorter guards or run a too big lineup often or to play deuce with the starters. You would have thought it was forbidden to do it before. Now we've seen multiple of those lineups. So I think you are going to see that. And I think if they're able to unlock a variety of combos that work, that's when you hit the best version of this team. I think he's going to actively look. One of the things I think he picked up in Golden State was the value of a depth lineup. Figuring out who that lineup is and when to deploy them, because they're not going to start. They're probably going to be the teams that the lineup that closes. So yeah, I don't think you got to wish. You're going to see it.
Hey, well said, Jeff. Well said. And if I don't got to wish, man, I want to see it in person. The only way to see it in person is by getting some tickets. Shout out to our sponsor today, man, SeatGeek. All right, shout out to SeatGeek. Look, if you guys want to if you guys want to go to games, any live events like concerts, anything of that nature, make sure to use our sponsor SeatGeek, man. Buying tickets, going to any events, especially Madison Square Garden, it can be pricey. So go to SeatGeek, who will sell you, tickets, and you can find them at a good price. All right. Always make sure to look for the green dots, which means go. Red means stay away. It's overpriced. They help you make sure that you can choose the best ticket out there that's available, so that way you get the bang for your buck, all right? And make sure to use our sponsor, KFTV 10, all right? When you use KFTV 10, you get up to 10% off of your tickets. So remember, green means good, red means bad. Use SeatGeek to go find your tickets, so that way you can go watch the Knicks at Madison Square Garden and not have to spend a fortune, all right? Because we already know how much it costs to go to MSG, man. We already know. So make sure to go use our sponsor, SeatGeek. Shout out to them. Use that promo code KFTV10 to get the 10% off of your tickets. All right. Let's get back to it, man. Yeah, look, this team, we've seen it. You said it. Mike Brown using different lineups. Josh Hart, I think he's going to be fine, man. I talked about the depth of this team. I'm curious to see how that all plays out. At this point, man, we already know what it is. And I think, look, man, and we can start to wrap it up around here, all right, before we hop off. And I want to know what the Knicks fan base is expecting out of this too. Because it's not it's different going into this season, man. I've had people, Knicks fans, NBA fans, ask me, yo, are you hyped for this season? Like, how do you feel about, because not only do you watch the Knicks, but you cover the Knicks. And I'm like, as a Knicks fan, I'm excited because you want to be in these positions where you know that you're playing for something meaningful, man. You want to be where you have the expectations that, all right, style. That means you're a good team, man. We're talking about depth. We're talking about, hey, our guy's going to have enough time to go out there and perform. That's a luxury to have. Not everybody has that. And I love that we're in this position. The other side to it, though, is and it's not that I have to wait until the postseason, but it's I feel like I won't really get a gauge of this team until we get to the 30-40 mark, because a lot of it's just going to be exercising all the new things that Mike Brown's trying to implement, figuring out which lineups are going to work. So it's I think the biggest challenge for me entering this season is not overreacting, man, and getting to that mark to be all right, I see what we're building here, and just giving some patience to it, man, because we're Knicks fans, man. We like to overreact. We're, it's been dire around here, outside of the Brunson years, right? But I feel like that's going to be the biggest challenge for me, though. What do you think? And I want to know what Knicks Nation feels. What's going to be the biggest challenge for you guys for this season?
Your biggest challenge is going to be to maintain your composure and not react to the down. So basically the same goal every season. It's not to react.
I feel like there's a difference, man. There's a difference when you have RJ on the team and you have Quickly, because you're the young guys and you got Tibbs. You already know what to expect every year. Right. You're hoping for something different.
Well, I pray for your peace and strength, because there's going to be some learning to do. There's going to be some learning curves. There may not be an intense imperative to win every single game on
Not.
the schedule, right? I think to prior years, and I think this is a prevailing theme around the NBA, you give about 20 games before you figure out what happens. And I think 20 games takes you into December. We talking NBA Cup, last games, playoffs, Christmas Day games. By then, you get a sense of what the team has been over a quarter of the season, pretty much. And that's where you know, okay, we have to adjust. We have to make certain changes. Is the season locked up? Like, have you established yourself as one of the top teams? Is the season over? You know, like these are the things that you got to think about in those times. There's been plenty of times throughout the course of this decade where they've gone on losing streaks and the discourse started discoursing and then they righted the ship. I think for me, the one thing that I'm looking for the most is who are these Knicks? Who are they? What is their identity? What is going to be the identity of the team? Because that was something I had a major issue with last year. Major. After that whole dice roll incident, I had a major issue. So I was like, I don't know who these guys are. Who you want to be and who you are two different things. If you want to be something, you got to act like it. Your actions scream where your words whisper. And you got to be able to act the way that you want to play and the way you want to be. That's got to be your identity. So what is it going to be? How do they develop that team identity, this new team? How do they develop it? And how do they implement that throughout the course of the season? So to me, if they're experimenting, if they're trying different lineups, if they find things that work, it's all going to take care of itself, man. I do think this team should be one of the best teams in the league. Should at worst be the second best team in their conference by record. And they should play as if April, May, and June is what really matters for a change. Stay as fresh as possible. You know, you was talking about the Cavs earlier. I don't know how you can put faith in the Cavs given their body of work since the Donovan Mitchell trade. And it's not even because of the players themselves. They get to April and they turn into dust.
Yep.
I don't know if Darius Garland has been healthy, like at least serviceably healthy for a playoff run. I feel like when they played the Knicks, they were talking, well, you know, he's been injured. He got injured against the Pacers, or he was injured against the Pacers. And I feel like 2 years ago, he was dealing with something. Mm-hmm. So these guys get to the postseason, and either they're getting injured or they're dealing with injuries. So I don't know. Like, that's going to be the main question they got to ask themselves. And with everything else going on in the conference, this is the time, man. So I think though over those first 20 games, we'll see who they are, and I have genuine excitement to find out.
Shout out to Terra One in the chat, said that dice roll was nauseating. Hey man, that was
13th reason type stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Especially for the in-season tournament, which I feel like before you know it, those games and the league is starting to figure out how to get those matchups right. You know what I mean? They're starting to figure out how to get those matchups right. Stuff like that gets aggravating, man. Where you're playing for something. I don't care if it's like I don't care if it's an in-season tournament, whatnot. If you're telling me there's a high stakes game and I got to watch somebody roll dice on there because they just beat us, that's that,
bro.
Woo.
I don't think I've been that mad, that infuriated to be a Knicks fan in ages until that day, and the loss and the dice roll were the least of it. It was the reaction from the fan. I'm not gonna open that Pandora's box again, but it was the reaction from some of the people in this fan base. You would have thought we were asking people to go to war. and to start slicing folks with box cutters on the court and pulling gats on them in the parking lot. Like as if you can't assert yourself without getting physical. I was super disappointed. I'm like, yo, did we get infiltrated by gentrifiers, bro? Like, are these transplants that are rooting for the Knicks and trying to impose pacifism? Oh God, it was this. I don't want to happen again, in any way, shape, or form.
That's not the Bed-Stuy that I know,
bro. What are they calling it? Sobro? What do they call the South Bronx now? Sobro? We got Sobro people in the fan base. Like that's what it is. What do they call it? Bushwick, Wuthering Heights, or whatever the hell they calling it now. Like bro, it was nasty. So if you have a certain identity, if you have a certain toughness, which I think they've brought in toughness this year. Yabusele, Clarkson got an edge to him. Like they got guys that ain't is with the shits. You know what I mean? Excuse me, sorry, but yeah, man. Like I want to see that because I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through anything like the Pacers series again. At the very least, like do something else. Do something, but don't do that.
The meme. Do something. All right, man. Before we get out of here, last one for you.
Yes, sir.
So if it's looking for an identity, that's important, and I agree with that. Are we worried about standings? Are we worried about because win totals does lead to standings? So do you want this team to be 1-2? Do they need to be number one and take home court advantage all the way through? Like, what are your thoughts on that with this team? Since we're saying, hey, because it's kind of like. Talk about both sides of the mouth where it's like, all right, man, I don't mind if you rest guys, but you know what? We got to have the top seeding too. Because it feels like that kind of, there's a contradictory there, right?
Kind of. I mean, look at what OKC did. There were nights where you had to see Isaiah Joe and Cason Wallace and these dudes as the main competitors. Some they won, some they didn't. But this was at the point where they had locked stuff up. I just think there's going to be better clock management with dudes' minutes. I think there's going to be more intentionality to it. As far as the standings go, I expect them to have a top 3 seed. If they get hot at the right time, it doesn't matter what their seeding is, to be completely honest. I'm not saying that, like, they should not be fighting for a playoff spot. They should be fighting for positioning. If that makes sense. That's like a big expectation. If they hit the 53 win total, that should be good enough for at worst top 3. At worst top 3, depending on what goes on in the conference for the season. And then my I don't know if it's a hot take, I don't know if it's a mild take, whatever. I don't know how effective home court advantage is for the Knicks playing at Madison Square Garden. So it's the one arena that everyone wants to shine in. I think you go to Oklahoma City, you feel like you're back in college on the road. It's one band, one sound.
Yeah, I mean,
one band, one sound.
Between them and Indiana, how everyone is religiously wearing one color. It is truly,
bro,
like a college feel.
I went to a Thunder game. They were praying before the game. I've never seen that before in the NBA. I said, "Oh no, this is one band, one sound. This is Oklahoma City's Thunder."
You telling me they get the prayer circle going right before the game?
Yeah, like they have like their. I think they have a ecumenical minister or somebody that comes in and prays for everybody. Like it isn't just like we're praying for the Thunder. It's like a prayer to set off the game. So if you've ever gone to Catholic school or any type of religious school and you do the morning prayers or whatever, it was kind of like that. It was brief. It wasn't imposing. And, I was just taken aback. Like they were like, bow our heads and pray. We praying at an NBA game? Like this is different. It was cool. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I knew, we are in this is a different atmosphere. This is an away game, bro. We ain't doing that on 34th and 37th, right? Like we're not doing that, right? So, and I say that to say, I do think Madison Square Garden is an advantage for the Knicks, but I don't think it's the we have to play here at all costs advantage that some other arenas are. And that's just from the vibe. It's just, we're the most poppin' arena pound for pound in the NBA in New York. People need to make money. People got to get it how they get it. So a lot of times these season ticket holders are selling their tickets to opposing teams. So there will be way more of a heavier presence. I will say asterisk, it does depend on how winning the Knicks, how successful the Knicks are in the season. Because when the Knicks are rocking, it's hard to get in as an opposing fan. And even then, people still got to eat. So they're going to up it on the opposing fans and sell them tickets, right? So you got that, and then plus the allure that all these players want to show out in the Garden. I think that's a storyline to look at, Alex. If they defend home court, if they have one of them 40-1 seasons, 38-2, or 38-3, right? Like if they defend their home court to where they're winning over 90% of their games at the Garden, then yes, it's imperative to get that 1 seed so that you can exhaust as much of an advantage as you can. But if it's not vibing that way, get a top 2, get a top 3 seed. I'd rather y'all be a better team on the road, travel well, take the hearts out, because the Knicks fan base is traveling now too. Heavy.
Yep. We travel
heavy.
very
We
well.
in your city, heavy. So that's a built-in advantage. So I say all that to say the standings don't matter unless you are fighting for the 6th seed. Then what the hell is really going on? But if you're positioning top 2, top 3, because you could be in a situation where you got to face the Celtics in the first round or the Pacers, depending on what happens with them. It might be a rehash with the Sixers, depending on what was going on with the top 2. If you flip a coin and believe that they'll be healthy enough to snag, like you don't know what you're gonna face. So if you're a good team, that ain't gonna matter. So I think the standings matter as much for positioning, not for fighting for a playoff seed.
And you know what? This is where some of the fans in the chat are at. So we got Brightest Future saying first place all season. We got Zach from New York to LA saying 1 to 3. I don't care. We have, who is it? We got Chaotic Anime Weeb saying we just need to make it to the playoffs. He's also shocked that they're doing praise in OKC. He's like, they doing prayers in OKC. What? Also, first of all, that's not even the one question that we should be asking. Jeff, what were you doing out in OKC to watch an NBA game to begin with?
Oh, I was covering it. I was covering KD's return when he's left for the Warriors. I was covering that, and then I was at the Final Four in San Antonio before that, and then we went over to OKC, and then we went home.
Just tell us you like OKC,
bro.
Man.
I covered the NBA also, guys.
In OKC. Just tell us you like to vacation in OKC, man. You don't gotta lie to us.
Where in the hell? This is my snobbery is gonna come out. Where in the hell? I gotta hit bro. That's why I gotta hit Brody up. Yo, where is it popping in OKC? It feels like a midnight. You outside.
I thought you would have hit a Tiger King to figure that out, man. What are you doing over here?
You go out in OKC after midnight, they're going to tell you, go home, sir. This is not Atlanta. This is not New York. Can you please go home?
You might be finding people out at midnight doing things they're not supposed to be doing in OKC.
Listen, I'm not touching it.
Hey, man.
You're right.
But hey, I think for me, just get in the top 3. Get into the top 3. That's all I need to see. Be in the top 3 of the East. That's all that needs to matter. That's all that matters, man. I don't think home court really makes a difference. I think we're starting to see that. Look, we had home court against the Pacers. That didn't mean a damn thing, right? Celtics had home court. That didn't mean a damn thing. All right. So we're starting to see that home court doesn't really make that big of a difference. So for them, if they're just in the top 3 and get a favorable standing and opponent, that's all that matters, man. We should just see that work and the depth play out to them in that favor.
Exactly. I agree.
But But hey, man, Jeff, appreciate you coming through as always. Let the listeners know where they can find you. If you got any work up and coming, we should be on the lookout for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jeff J Says, all social media. Jeff J Says, also on YouTube. This week, myself, along with John Macri from Knicks Film School and Sean with a W, launching new NBA series called NBA Takedown. No take in the league is safe. We are talking about the discourse around the game along with our own opinions. So definitely tap into that. First episode dropping this week. KFS, I'm on there this year. Once again, Casual Friday has been rebranded. Casual Friday, that series is over. Now it's KFS After School. So, after you go and you do all your hard work, 3 o'clock hits or 4 o'clock if you were in a psycho city. After that, it's after school. So myself and Sean with a W doing that every week on Knicks Film School as well. So I really appreciate this, Alex. As always, I got love for the KFTV community. I'm a host and I am also a client. So it's been good. I'm definitely going to see the fan base out and about this season. You see me say what's up. Alex got to get out here a little bit more this season too. I know he's a busy man, but it's always good to see you in the building, bro. So hopefully I get to see you in real life more often this season too.
That's the plan, man. That's the plan. Trying to make it back down as much as possible. All right.
Yes, sir.
It's not that far between Beantown and New York. And hey, the good thing is the train from here leads right to Penn Station. So there really is no excuse for this. So
exactly.
Right?
You already know.
There's none. But Jeff, always appreciate talking with you. Make sure to go support Jeff and all the ventures that he's doing, man. He does a great job covering the Knicks over at KFS. Make sure to go tap in there. And so to all of you, Knicks Nation, for tapping in as well. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, okay? We got one more preseason game left, all right? So stay locked in, man. We got one more preseason, October 22nd. Can't get here soon enough. KFTV is already in the works on getting your watch parties and everything ready, man. Game experience. So make sure to stay tapped in and locked in. And that's why you sign up for the newsletter. Not only just to get articles, but to stay up to date with all the live events that we got too, as well as our sponsors. And speaking about our sponsors, shout out to SeatGeek once again. Make sure to use KFTV10 to get 10% off of your tickets, all right? Tickets are expensive out there, so make sure to go to SeatGeek, get it for a good price. Green means go, red means stay away. All right, so make sure to go do that. And, shout out to Knicks Nation once again. We got some more comments. We got Arthur Sims Artwork saying 1 to 3 is all that matters. All right, and I think that's where we're at, man. 1 to 3. Just stay 1 to 3, New York Knicks, all right? Keep everybody fresh, healthy, stay in the top 3, and go do that work in the postseason. That's what we need to see. But, yeah, man. Jeff, we all know you're going to go back out to OKC just to go vacation there. We know you got your vacation home out there somewhere right outside the arena. But
Bible study before some hoops. Hey, they won a title. Maybe we should start praying before the games too out here. Shoot.
Hey. Now you know what? Can you imagine prayer circles, all that stuff?
Oh my God, you gonna hear
you know what we need? We need all the candles that you see in the bodegas, man. We just need that with faces of all 6 players right outside. That's what we need, man. Hanging up. We just need them hanging up all over the place. All right.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's what we need, man. All right, man. Salute Knicks Nation. Appreciate you all for tapping in. Shout out to all the franchise channelers we got in here. We got Jamaica Queens. We got Zach, New York to LA. Appreciate you as well. Our Freak NY, shout out to you. We got Smooth Guitar. Shout out to you for being here as well. Who else we got? Timothy Danzler, shout out to you. All right. Shout out to all the franchise channel members. We got Mellow Mike in here. We got the Shells. We got the Shells in here. Always with us, rocking with us. Who else we got here, man? I think I saw Junior Caroma in here as well. Shout out to Junior. Shout out to our guy, John Talento, the regulars, the mainstays. We got Son from Brooklyn in here. Appreciate you. We got Fave 424 in here too. Above the Rim. Shout out to my guy Above the Rim, man. Shout out to all you, man. Shout out to Knicks Nation once again. All right, everybody. We'll catch you later. CP will be back at it tomorrow, most likely, covering the Knicks as always. And hey, one more preseason game until it's the real deal, man. So make sure to stay tapped in and locked in. All right, everyone. We out.